Hello, everyone. As we are continuing this journey and mutually we are learning from each other, I thought of sharing another concept which is very well debated across the globe. And you would witness this concept with every act of your situation that you handle on day-to-day basis. It could be as simple of getting and picking a glass of water right now and drinking, and it could be as simple choosing a career or choosing a life partner or a relationship or anything. This debate keeps on happening, and this debate is there is a free will or everything is destined. Now you find this thing being said over the YouTube on the on Googles, and if you are having some research orientation on white papers. But then finally you see a lot of opinions coming, and there are multi views for this, but broadly there are two views. And I'm just trying to state these two views, and then you can figure out where you fall in and what could be your agreements to it or disagreements to it. And you can shape your own thinking process around it and see how it fares out for you. You don't have to be necessarily a part of one view. It depends what you resonate with, and finally what your inner calling is. So one view is the physicalist view. Now, I don't want to name the scientists in the world. I don't even want to name the people who debated with me on the stage on this view. But the physicalist view says everything is matter. The primitive ontological area is matter. So that means the neural network that fires in the brain decides what you want to do. So if you follow the physicalist view, there is no free will, right? There is no free will, there is no inner voice, there is no soul, there is no consciousness. It's only the game of neural network, which is exhibited through chemical reactions and which is exhibited through the physical action. For example, a neuron fires, I lift up my hand. I don't want it, but this neuron fired, so I lift it up. So here there is no free will. So all the physical scientists that you see who come into this domain would call a person like me a pseudo-psychologist or a pseudo-cognitive scientist, or they call what I'm going to say in a while now is pseudo-scientific baffleism. It's okay, I respect that view. That's what they feel like, and that's one view. The second view, this is radically opposite towards the debate of free will versus everything is predetermined or destined. It's radically opposite. Now, in this is the area where you find in term like consciousness, you find in term like soul or jivatma, or you find in terms like synchronicities. So let me just deep dive into this. If you come into this gamut, if you come into this world, this view, which is taking care of this debate, consciousness itself can experience and express consciousness. You have to take it from the top-down approach. You don't take it from the molecules, atoms, subatoms, and then move up. You take it from the top, and then you finally go down. So it all started with nothingness, because consciousness cannot be seen, but it is making the process of seeing happen, without which there is no seeing. So if you see consciousness, yes, there is free will, and this free will comes from your inner voice. It comes from your inner level of this. When you deep down and you see the silent witness, you understand that you get directed from a source which is unknown within yourself. So if you see from this gamut, yes, there is free will. But this free will is only when you turn inwards. But it's not that easy, because even in this pool of people who follow consciousness, there is a principle of ego, karma, and karma. Now, if you are restricted to the ego, constrictive awareness happens. That means again you lose the free will. You will only be trapped into the word which I used in my earlier videos, which is the karmic cycle. That means you keep on repeating that karma. For example, I had a chocolate ice cream last night and I liked it. Now I'll have it again today because I like it. Then my choices are limited to chocolate ice cream every night. It will not help me going and trying salty peanuts. So unless I break this cycle of karma, that is only possible when I go beyond the ego reality principle, which is going beyond the qualia experience, which I shared in my last video. I don't want to repeat it now. I cannot access my free will. Once you go past that, you are actually into pure awareness. You are always a silent witness to all states of consciousness in your life. And finally, it gives you free will, which you can access. Because that free will is not is an impulsive free will or a wishful free will. That is actually a state of surrender, where synchronicities happens, intentions take care and materialize by themselves, and finally it is called choiceless awareness. Okay, the Vedic terms here are, as per Vedanta, the free will here is dhyan, dharana, samadhi. Dhyan is the state of being calmness, of meditativeness across all situations and all times. Dharana is focused intention but with reflection. And samadhi is releasing in the pure silence, in the transcendental state, for its own manifestation. So it becomes choiceless awareness. You have the intent, the universe gives you the intent, it will manifest on its own, because you and the universe are not different. So if you enter the space, even within consciousness domain, if you enter the space which is non-dual and choiceless awareness, then there is free will. Even in the realm of consciousness, if you are restricted to ego principle, you cannot access the free will, because you are a product into the hand of karmic cycle, which keeps on driving you, and there is no revival out of it. The only way to access free will is when you go beyond this and get into the expanded awareness, where there is it's a non-dual tradition then. You and the universe is just one. So the universe is operating through you. So hence it's choiceless awareness. You have intentions, it's universe intentions that will get manifested. So that's choiceless awareness is actually the free will. So I've seen a lot of people, most of the people, so whenever they're doing something, they're already into the moment that they're anticipating to come, maybe tomorrow, day after, or maybe some people, some months and some years. So let's say if you're putting a fold to your shirt and putting it into the cupboard. So while putting that fold, are you enjoying that activity in itself with that presence, in that present moment? Or you're going to probably thinking, what's going to happen in the office tomorrow morning? Okay, and by this what happens is that we are always into the anticipated future moment, rather than being with the presence in that moment. And for some people, the life becomes like a waiting room, where you're always thinking, when I get the best job and my life starts from them, or when I get this person back in my life starts from them, or probably when I get a bigger house, the life starts with that, or probably when I get a chance to work in some other country, the life starts with that. So you're already anticipating, and you are totally paralyzing the present moment in which you are in. Now, even if you get what you want in life, still you will be thinking of something else that has to come after that. So it's still not in the present. So the idea of present moment is unlimited opportunity, unlimited awareness first, which gets into unlimited opportunities. Because so-called future, because there is no future, because by the time you come into that future, it already becomes present. So if you're looking at something in your life to happen, that's still likely to happen when you probably respect the present with your presence. If you keep on paralyzing the present moment and anticipating of what you would be doing in the coming time, and when you would be experiencing that coming time, you are actually, living a world of completely which is a mirage. And so your entire life is becoming a waiting room. And what you want will happen, but you have to accept the present the way it is. And the only way to accept the present is showing your presence in that. So even if a small task of brushing your teeth or making a tea for yourself and then sipping the tea has to be there with its presence, the consciousness would probably be experienced in presence. The time that you're talking, that time lapse or the time gap will be experienced in the presence. And the more you get into this gap, which sometimes you may probably get into a gap between two thoughts, you're actually experiencing the presence, which is the consciousness. and most likely you will get whatever you want, which you're probably looking at in your life. But the fact is, you have to accept the present the way it is with your presence, not by regretting the past or by anticipating the future all the time. I'm not saying you should not be a visionary. I'm not saying you should not plan or strategize or do a blueprint or a graph of your career and other life episodes. But then again, as it's been said in the spiritual traditions, that it's the focus attention and the intent and release into the infinite potentiality. Okay, it's dhyan, dharana, and samadhi. So you have focus attention, you have a firm intention with focus attention, because the attention energizes, the intention manifests, and if you go into transcendence, that means you are in the presence of the present moment, and you've released the idea in the field of potentiality, pure potentiality, and you are absolutely stationed in the presence, and it will be taken care of. But you need to respect what you're doing in the present. So don't make your life a waiting room. You're always waiting something to happen next. Be in the present moment with the presence. Okay, and the most easiest way to do is you become aware of your breath, aware of your surroundings, and you just enjoy the present act that you are in, because that's what life is. Life happens in present.